So good morning. This is the webinar for the Innovative Pilot Projects. We're glad to have some of our grantees here to share information about their project. I'm Jennifer Akers. I'm the grants manager for the Innovative Pilot Projects. Jessica's out of the office today. She's typically the hostess. I have Alina Vasquez with me. She's with Hersey. She's going to be watching the chat and the Q&A. If you can put any questions in the Q&A if you want to put them in while you're thinking about them, feel free to do that, but we're going to hold them till the end. The presenters will stay till the end if you have questions, just to make sure that we get through all of them. They all have about 10 to 15 minutes, which isn't enough for their whole project, but it at least should give you an idea about what these projects are about so you can get more information if you would like to do that. So these projects are funded by the American Rescue Plan Act, and they will happen over the next 2 years. They're really giving us some opportunity to try some new things, which we typically don't get an opportunity like that, to really see if there are some things that we can do differently with our waiver services or other things that we provide as DDARs and beads to really make sure that we're meeting individuals' needs. So most of these projects, based on the directive that they were given, fall into these general categories. Supporting those that support. So some of these are geared towards DSPs or caregivers or unpaid caregivers. Support through technology. We have several around remote supports and assistive technology to really make sure that we're utilizing that as much as possible. Community partnerships and community change. A lot of these are helping with community integration, either through employment or through social connections. Information and skills for individuals. We have some today. One of ours is going to talk about really finding and developing strengths for individuals. So that's an example of one of those. And then also exploring current models of services and payments. So we have some people doing some things around different waiver definitions potentially in the future, or the way that we provide some of our services. We have a couple around music therapy and behavior therapy that are really looking at how might we do this different. I want to make sure that if you want more information, you know where to find it. We have a dedicated website for the Innovative Pilot Projects. You can find it through the HOMA Community-Based Services Spending Plan, because this is really only one of the ways that the ARPA money is being spent. There are some around direct service work. There's some about employment. So there are several different things going on with ARPA money, and we're just one of them through the Innovative Pilot Projects. But each of the providers or the entities, because some of them are not providers, who were funded for the Innovative Pilot Projects have created a one-pager, which doesn't do their project justice, but it's a way for you to really compare apples to apples, because you can see them in the same format so that you can see the same information from each one of them. So they're on this page at the bottom. I had to do a screenshot so you can't see what the whole page looks like. They're at this page. And then also the webinars that we're doing are being recorded. And so the thumbnails are already on this page. So the first 6 that we've done have been uploaded to this page, and they're also on a playlist on the FSSA YouTube channel. So if you've missed any of them or you want to revisit them, I will be adding this as soon as communications can get it posted. So today we're going to hear from Booth & Company, IPMG, Reach Columbus, and SIRS. And those of you who are presenting today, I can give you control of the slides, but I can also be the person who's advancing them for you. If that's easier, you can just say next to me. So I want to make sure that they have enough time. So I am going to go ahead and turn it over to Spencer Booth and Booth & Company, and I will give you slide control. It's up to you how you want to do that.
Sounds good. Yes, looks like I can control the slides here. Got it. Okay. Can you hear me okay, I think? My name is... Okay, good. All right, great. My name is Spencer Booth with Booth & Company, and our project is to develop a protocol for helping people identify and develop their strengths. Let's see here. The first thing, the first part of our project is to develop a protocol for finding strengths. And the next thing we're going to do is to develop a protocol for developing our strengths. We're going to have resources to help people advocate for themselves to develop and use their strengths. And we're going to have training materials and resources to encourage supporters of the individuals to use positive supports and to assist them in using and developing their strengths. I'd like to start off the presentation by telling you a story about a friend of mine who he was a sort of a rambunctious child who enjoyed exploring his neighborhood and was adventurous, and but he did not have any words until the age of 5, and he did not put together sentences and wasn't really able to communicate effectively until the age of 6. And he had some difficulty making friends and socializing and forming those social connections in his childhood, and continued to work on that in adulthood. He did have some remarkable strengths. He had perfect pitch, and his father would play the piano, and he would listen to the music. And then once he learned what the notes were and how they looked on a page, he was able to write down all that music. Anything that he heard, he was able to transcribe onto paper. Another strength he had was, I think he effectively learned English as a new language. He had to learn pronoun structure and verb structure and vocabulary. And he used that skill that he had developed to learn new languages. And I think now, I guess he's conversational in 20 languages and is fluent in 10 languages, including difficult ones like Mandarin and Russian, Portuguese. And whenever he travels to a new country or meets somebody who speaks a different language, he'll learn enough of their language to be able to communicate with them very quickly, which is impressive to them. Another skill that he has is memorizing phone numbers and addresses, and just sort of general information about people that he meets. So when he was in high school, there were about 200 kids in his grade level, and he would really work with them. Or if somebody came up to him and said, "What's my phone number and address?" he would tell them their phone number and address. And the way that that has played out in his life is that he travels around the world, meets people, and he knows where they're from and what they're, where they travel to and so forth. And if he is traveling somewhere, he'll contact somebody that he knows is around there, and he'll either stay with them for a weekend or a week, or have dinner with them or lunch with them and reminisce about their connections together. And that has really turned into a social network of thousands of people that he knows around the world that he keeps in touch with. And a touching incident happened over Christmas. He was traveling home to see his family and was snowed in Washington, D.C. I don't know if you all remember, there was a big, the frozen United States at that time. And he contacted 4 people that he knew in the Washington, D.C. area that did not necessarily know each other. And they got together for a dinner celebration on Christmas Eve. And some of those people had not had plans for Christmas, and it was a really kind of a touching gathering of people whose connection was my friend, and they had a nice dinner together. So anyway, he's taken some strengths that he has and really developed some connections and a nice entertaining and socially connected life for himself. Okay, so this slide's on here just to make people nervous, I guess, because this is differential equations are not a strength for many of us. So if we were going to talk about differential equations today, we might get frustrated and tired and bored. So that's just an example of how we don't necessarily want to work on things that aren't our strengths. So I think this slide may make some of us nervous. So the question could be, why do we decide to focus on developing strengths? Strengths help us feel acknowledged, gifted, and special. They help us to get better at something that we are good at or that we enjoy. Focusing on strengths help us to overcome areas in which we have problems. It helps us feel energetic and happy. And from the business world, there have been studies that show that focusing on strength improves performance by 36%, whereas focusing on weaknesses decreases performance by 26%. So it's just logical and beneficial to focus on strengths versus weaknesses. So when we talk about identifying strengths, it's good to know what the strengths are, to have that in our vocabulary and in our experience so that we can know what to look for. Sometimes when we help people focus on our strengths, we tend to look at external factors such as a supportive family, access to certain things in the community, like going to church or to a social group. And one thing that we want to focus on with the study is finding internal strengths such as character strengths or skills. And these are some examples of character strengths that are focused on in strength assessments. And these are things that can be developed and encouraged. And there's also skill strengths, and these are just some general life skills that can be developed, such as making friends, like in the example that I gave, knowledge of public transportation, something that can be built on buying groceries. If you have a strength of buying groceries, maybe you would be put in charge of buying groceries for your family or for your housemates. Something that can be used to help contribute. So when we're identifying strengths, we want to make sure we use an objective assessment in case there's something that we're not, that we've missed or that we haven't thought of. An objective assessment just asks a broad range of questions that help kind of pinpoint specific strengths. We want to interview the person. What makes you happy? What do you like to do? What are you really good at? And we also want to talk to family, friends, and people who see the individual often, because maybe they see a strength that the individual might miss. And I read a study that talked about how siblings are a great resource. You really know your siblings pretty well. Like sometimes you kind of understand how they think and how they respond to situations. And talking to people's siblings is a great way to identify strengths. So when we develop strengths, we want to be able to use the strength in day-to-day life. We want to build a routine. We want to find ways to build upon the strength and use natural resources as much as possible. Once people identify their strengths, they can learn to overcome barriers to developing and using their strengths. And that's one thing we're going to focus on in our project is giving people resources to address those barriers, to overcome them. Some common barriers in our work that we see are time, cost, staffing resources, housemate schedules, and program interference. Some recent examples are people want to participate in a community activity, but it's during day programming timing. Of course, staffing resources are an issue. If somebody relies on somebody else to transport them, then there needs to be, and if they have housemates, then there needs to be another way to make it to that activity or event. Shane Lopez has some good, kind of a good structure for encouraging supporters to use positive supports. So I just borrowed his examples here. You have to develop a strengths mindset. If you, when you're interacting with people, you believe that everyone you meet has strengths that you can name and nurture. If you name and nurture the strength a person showed to help them achieve something extraordinary. Oh, I think I missed a slide. Or maybe not. Okay, so one example he gave is that he was out to dinner with a friend, and they had extraordinary service in the restaurant. And his friend stood up and said to the waiter, Jim, that you just really provided us extraordinary service today, and you helped us have a nice dinner, and we really feel like we benefited from your service. So they named the strength that the person had, and they encouraged them to continue to develop that strength. So that is what we want to do with this project, and to help people live their best lives and to focus and develop their strengths. All right, and that is it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Spencer. If anybody has any questions, we'll have some time for that at the end, but he's got his information on this slide as well. So if you'd like to reach out to him directly, you can do that. I did realize I need to promote one more person, and then we'll get to IPMG. Okay, next we have Carolyn and IPMG. Carolyn, I'll give you slide control.
Sounds good.
All right, you should be good to go.
All right, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Carolyn Underwood, Director of Case Management at IPMG, and we are very excited to have been awarded an IPP. And we're going to be creating a training for case managers across all CMOs. We want to make sure everyone who wants to work has that opportunity. As we all know, employment gives so much more than just money. There's a lot of benefits that come from employment. Do I have to do so? The slide isn't advancing. Okay, there we go. So what we're going to do is, we as case managers, we hear a lot that individuals want to be employed, but they've got a lot of fears, concerns about what's going to happen to their benefits should they get a job. So we want to work collaboratively with other CMOs and BEADs to develop a training that can be used across all case management companies and stakeholders across the state. The training is going to deliver consistent information on employment and the benefits that it has for individuals receiving waiver services. We're hopeful that this training will provide consistent information to case managers so that they can then deliver that to all individuals, no matter who is supporting them. So we're going to incorporate the life course framework and tools to do this. They've developed a lot of great tools, both on the family side and individual side, the STAR, the trajectory. So our training is going to incorporate some of those, explain how you can use those specifically for employment, and it will show what's already in place for individuals and then maybe what they need to work on to get to the employment. We're going to survey all CMOs for their feedback. So we're going to go out to every case management company and say, what are you hearing in regards to employment and the individuals that you are supporting? Or what are the barriers? So we're going to get that feedback. We're going to review trainings and information already developed. There's a lot of great trainings already out there. Indiana Family to Family, ARC of Indiana, they already have some. So we're going to go ahead and look at those and any others we find, and possibly take information from those and put them into one resource for case managers. And then we're going to have discussions with those in the field on the barriers to employment. So what are case managers actually hearing? What are families saying about employment, and what's holding them back, or what has helped? We're not only going to focus on the barriers, but we're going to focus on some people who have been successful with their jobs, and get that feedback as well. Our expected outcomes are that all case managers will be provided with this training. They'll have access to it. So everyone will have access to the same training, the same information, and it will become a resource that they can share then with individuals and families. We're also very hopeful that because of this training, there'll be able to be more robust conversations with individuals, families, and the support teams regarding employment. So that if an individual says no, that they're not interested in training, we have a little more of a conversation to see, is it just a fear of losing benefits? Maybe we can help with that. Maybe they really do want a job, but there's just so much unknown with that. So we're hoping that this training can help individuals who actually want to have a job have some of those conversations with their teams. We feel like consistency is key. So individuals and families, no matter who is supporting them, will have access to that consistent information on employment and how those benefits and incentives can impact work and earnings. We'll address individuals' concerns and fears regarding employment. Like I already said, so much of what I hear is that they're afraid of losing benefits. Families are afraid that individuals will lose benefits and what will happen to them if they do. So just having some more information on that. And then hopefully we'll be able to increase in the number of individuals who want to be employed, that they are actually able to be employed with this resource and training. We want to avoid inconsistent or inaccurate information. We want to make sure that case managers are equipped to have these conversations. It's not fair to individuals or case managers if they're having these conversations and they themselves really don't understand what's happening. So we want to make sure that we equip them to be able to have these conversations. We want to avoid individuals and families being fearful of losing benefits if employed. And we want to avoid individuals not pursuing employment if they really want to be employed. So that's kind of a quick look into our IPP. We are really hopeful that case managers, this training will give them the information they need to help individuals, and then ultimately individuals will be able to have jobs if they desire. So we just want to make this conversation more comfortable for both sides, case management as well as individuals. Thank you.
Thanks, Carolyn. If you're here as a, Simco or a provider or a family, please feel free to reach out to Carolyn. They're going to be doing some formal ways of getting that information, but
Absolutely.
We don't know what the barriers are if we don't hear from everybody. So I think Carolyn definitely, as a case management company, hears a lot of it, but there still may be some other fears out there that we're not aware of that would really be helpful, so that they can make this as valuable as it can be for everybody. So thanks, Carolyn.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Next, we have Reach Columbus. We have Tammy and no, we have Christine.
Yes. Good morning. Hello. Thank you for all of you for your time and attendance this morning. It brings us great pleasure to formally speak about something I and those at Reach and now Reachability are very excited about. We are thankful for this grant involvement and the potential it has to brighten the future of those with intellectual and physical disabilities and our lives as well as we work to obtain our goals. In order to understand our grant involvement, works, and the progress, I feel it is prudent that you understand Reach Columbus Incorporated, and that is where I'm going to begin. Reach Columbus Incorporated started during the COVID area. It was a group of moms worried, scared for the future, tucking in like the whole world did for safety, concerned about ourselves and the livelihood of our emerging adults with disabilities. As the restrictions were slowly starting to lift and we came out of our isolations, we had defeated, secluded, and distressed young adults who desperately needed an avenue of positivity. And to be honest, so did we. Let me see if I can forward this slide. I'm not sure if we could forward that one. No, perfect, that'll work. A group consisting of 8 moms put their heads together and started minimal outings in hopes of encouragement, bringing friendships together in a healthy manner. Outings led to think tanks, and the think tanks brought forth big ideas. We saw glimmers of smiles, productive outreach, and friendships growing. During this time, and the bonds were formed within ourselves and within our personal children. Happiness emerged, even within the limitations and the consistent fear of the uncertainty of COVID still looming over heads. It was fruitful, it was joy, and it needed to be shared. Outings led to meetings twice a week at a local church, with activities planned to enhance learning opportunities, and the word spread of our community emerging. If we could plan and we could execute so much for our children, why could we not bring it to others who we knew had just as much of a need as our children did? Now, when I say children, I am personally speaking of our children. I have 2 girls with a genetic disorder. They will always be my children. But they are young adults, post-high school, but they're always going to be my children. The benefits we saw in our own youth encouraged us to think past ourselves. We wanted more for the whole disability community. 8 moms volunteered twice a week to open up our own day service program that became known as Reach Columbus. Within a year, we had met capacity of the church with more clients enrolled and more volunteers. We sought and obtained CARF accreditation and quickly became a fully functioning day service provider. We are operating 5 days a week. We leased an 8,000 square foot building and opened our doors for even more clientele. What a year prior had been a simplistic think tank and a dream quickly became a reality. We were proactive with many outings and pushed forth efforts in education and building life skills. We partnered with many local businesses, leading the way for exploration and many employment skills opportunities. Business partners welcomed our clients and engaged within our outings. We have clientele that are smart on so many levels, even within their disabilities. They all have and had unique skill sets, ones we thought we could bring to the table of employment. COVID brought many vacancies and job opportunities and openings. Hiring signs were and still are rampant. Why couldn't people who were differently able fill those opportunities? And what would it take to achieve that? This was the birth of Reachability and where we started our IPP Innovation Grant. And you could go to the next slide, the Reachability. Apostle, thank you. We looked for common struggles that employment brought within the disability community. Transportation needs are an issue, social skills in the workplace, and goal-specific training. Many have a desire to work, but the lack of resources and training to obtain those goals. With the help of the IPP Innovation Grant, we put forth a plan, 8 to 12-week training modules that focus on helping attain those skill sets. We onboarded educators to build curriculum and set forth within our goals. With transportation training, we worked on pedestrian and personal safety. And you could go to the next slide, please. Perfect. We work on time management, weather outcomes, learning the Columbus app, learning the Columbus routes, how to read the route maps, and how it pertains to each client and how they interact with on that bus route. We ride the bus as a group, pointing out bus stops of significance, and do this habitually for retention, with the hopes to bring forth familiarity and comfort in their ability to navigate the bus routes, the bus stops, and changes on their own. Each client is graded based on their abilities, and their caregivers are given updates on their performance, which brings them a greater understanding of their ability to navigate either on their own or what prompts are needed for success. I believe this is a big help to parents. Like I said, I'm a mother of 2 girls with a genetic disorder. That's my daughter there. One of my daughters, the blonde-headed one. And I struggle to raise them to the best of my abilities. Having this to know their strengths and possible weaknesses takes the burden of figuring this all out on my own. I will tell you in our first group, as we recently started our first module 2 weeks ago, we have a lady who is 46 years old in our training program, very hesitant about public transportation. She lives right on the bus route, and many of the jobs that she is interested in, her employment avenues that she's interested in, are on that exact same bus line. But she was scared, and she's even said she's scared. She was hesitant and verbally told me that she didn't want to ride the bus, that it was more or less just something her mom was wanting her to do, stating kind of like she was scared. I encourage her to stick with it, and this was literally just 2 weeks ago, to give it a try, even through her fears. Within our first bus ride, I watched her physically ease, tense and withdrawn at first, but as the bus driver, who was a huge help that day, and I pointed out familiar sights and her seeing the ease of the bus, by midway through, she was relaxed and enjoying the opportunity. She was even speaking to other passengers her own age, making very appropriate conversations. To us, this is a win. It made her feel safe, and safety comes sometimes in numbers and a guided hand. This is an example of what we want to accomplish, a start. Within social skills training, we work on workplace behaviors, cell phone etiquette, personal space, small talk, interviewing skills, emotions, dressing appropriately, balanced conversations, and more, a stepping stone to gainful employment. We role play, discuss, and have conversations within our group modules. And within our first modules, all are willingly and eagerly engaged. It's actually very exciting to watch, very exciting. You could go to the next slide, please. One more. The design of the program is to work on these sub-skills and then go on outings to physically explore employment options. So many of our clients say they want to do a certain job until they actually do it, only to find out that it's something that's not of interest. This is where employer partners come in to lend us a hand. Employment outings step us through actual work environments with hands-on opportunities to engage. We design these around pre-employment questionnaires, client interest, and personal strengths of each individual client. We have partnered with Hotbox Pizza, Speedy Clean, 8 Martin Lodge, Yes Cinemas, Toyota, and others for a broad outlook, all while we actively reach out for many more. Our first pilot project models brought many diverse interest and employment avenues. We have 8 enrolled in this first project or first class that we have. And as we navigate our way to graduate success, we focus on these clients' individual needs. And this will continue as we hope to grow. Long-term goals are to have employment modules for specific training for hospitality, fair trade, hostessing, and an industrial component. We believe as exposure and outreach expands and enrollment increases, we can enroll students in specific training modules. If you go to the next slide, please. Thank you. The need is great, not only in our community, but statewide. According to the 2020-2021 National Core Indicators and the Annual Disability Compendium Report, as you can see here, a significant number, 237,153 people living with an intellectual disability between the ages of 18 and 64. Only 31.7% were employed. When they narrowed the research further, a staggering 71,240 people in the state of Indiana stated that they were not employed, but they would like a job within their community. Now, we know that these are statewide statistics, right? And realistically, we will not have that outreach to serve a significant part of the state, but we can put a huge dent. We feel like we could put a dent in those numbers. We are in Columbus, Indiana, in Bartholomew County, approximately 30 miles south of Greenwood. I personally have traveled much further for my girls' needs and education and on a consistent basis, and so have many others that I've talked to. We feel we could reach a good portion, definitely of the southern half of the state. We have one client in our first pilot module from a neighboring county, and with interest coming as far as for Clark County and other surrounding areas as well. And go to the last plate, please. The goal is to diversify employment options while building solid stepping stones to a platform of gainful employment, all while educating surrounding area businesses, actually showing them the benefits firsthand of employing persons within the disability community, one I think we can achieve. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christine. That was really informative. We will go ahead. We have one more project. We have Tammy. I've given you control of the slides, or you can just say next and I'll control them for you. It's up to you. So now we're going to hear from SIRS.
Thank you very much there, Jennifer. Yes, indeed. If you could have control of the slides, and we will let you know. I am Tammy, or Tamara Pate, Director of Employment at Community Outreach with SIRS. And SIRS is Southern Indiana Resource Solutions Incorporated. We have been in business for 55 years. We're a nonprofit provider. And our initiative is Young Adult Solutions, called YAS. And with that, our YAS is, and I'm not sure you can see me. Maybe, do I need to do something so you can see me for the different slides?
Maybe you can just tell her.
I'm not sure what happened to my little windows.
Okay. I was just trying to, not that I want a picture of me on here. But
You should be able to turn on your video. For some reason, the boxes are not showing up on my main. There you are.
okay.
There you are, Tammy. Okay, you're good to go. We can see you. And if you just say next, I will move your slides for you.
Okay. Our Young Adult Solutions, YAS, and I love that. It says YAS is the Young Adult Solutions Initiative. What we are doing, our concept centers around those 22 to 30-year-olds with a disability who have aged out of high school and are transitioning, okay? Again, that's anyone with a disability who have aged out. They're 22 to 30-year-olds. These young adults, they're on wait list. We all know about those Medicaid wait lists that they might be on. Are they with vocational rehab? Perhaps they did not qualify for the order of selection, and we want them to be served. How can we serve them? Where do the young adults and the families go for next steps and system navigation, or resources to live their best life? I think we're already on slide 2. And with slide 2, with this idea of supporting the young adults ages 22 to 30, we support our mission, as everyone in this particular webinar have brought to our attention, supporting the mission and looking at community partnerships, looking at community change, looking at collaborations. We are sure, as others have that same vision, to empower young adults to be more independent, work in competitive, integrated environments, and to pursue possibly education. Optimistically, we want these young adults and their families to have high expectations for a productive life. And Jennifer, I'm not sure if Amanda Vandewick from Ivy Tech Community College has been able to connect with us, but we have all of these collaborators that you can see on the screen through Project Search, through us at SIRS, our Warwick County School Corporation, which is in the top 20 in the state of Indiana. We are in Southern Indiana. Then we have Ivy Tech Community Colleges and South Spencer School Corporation. All of these are professionals that have joined us, and we are looking at a possibility of getting referrals and a pilot cohort group through these individuals. This includes the teachers, school counselors, the pilot cohort group. As well, we have partnerships with Vincennes University, Ivy Tech Community College, and we're very fortunate to have Project Search. And Project Search in Warwick County is at Deaconess Gateway Hospital in Warwick County. And we have this as a useful, national, proven curriculum resources that we're already gaining from the accredited Cincinnati Children's Hospital. Our economic development community is also poised. We have the chambers of commerce in our particular areas and counties that we serve. We have our economic development council as well to help us with these young adults in pursuing career interests through both paid and non-paid internships. That's very key for competitive integrated employment. How are these young adults going to be able to know what they want to do? So perhaps they can start with some internship programs. Also, we have stipends available through our vocational rehab for our pre-ETS program. But again, once they graduate in pre-employment services, they no longer have services. So again, where do these young adults go? We hope to provide those young adult solutions. Their families, after leaving high school, want to know where to go to next in a seamless transition, as still may need resources and valuable supports. Together with meetings from our community collaborators, we have discussed already, and part of this innovative pilot project, key points of developing career paths from early ages through middle school, high school, and then young adulthood. We want it to be consistent kind of activities that we're working on gainful employment, careers, even at an early age, and supporting individuals who have one or multiple disabilities. We've also gathered research and we've looked at possibilities for our curriculum. Another collaborator that we are exploring includes our mental health professionals. We're looking at the mental health professionals and helping us for other initiatives and curriculums within this innovative pilot project. As well, we're looking at our police and court systems to help us with these young adults in that age range, again, around 22 to 30. And by the way, we're not going to card them in any way. We are looking for those who are aging out and just want to know, so they're not going to be on the couch or they're on a waiting list from maybe voc rehab or even for Medicaid, or they do not qualify for that waiting list. Through this innovative pilot project, YAS initiative, we have already brought community professionals together, ready to engage individually and collectively into supporting persons who are in need of ongoing critical supports. At this time, I'd like to see if Amanda Vagwig is in the panel for discussion with Ivy Tech. I'm not sure she was able to join us this morning. If not, we can continue on.
Can you say her name again so I can look at the attendees?
Yes, it's Amanda Vandeweghe, Vandewege.
I do not see her in the list.
Okay, we sent her the link at the last minute and perhaps she was not able to join us, but that's okay. She's a part of our team and our collaborators with Ivy Tech Community College. So we will continue on. We are on slide 4, okay? Our vision is to provide a life course orientation for our individuals and their families. Some paths for curriculum that are being pursued include the following: work, education, and community. That's our simple paths that we're trying to follow for each one of our young adults in this solutions for them as we move forward. SIRS is also, as many of you have already mentioned, looking at the benefits education component as well, so that our families, their siblings, the individuals can all be further educated. So we aren't keeping people from gainful employment and they aren't saying, well, I get Social Security or I get SSDI and I can only work just a few hours. It is hoped that with this IPP that we can show participants to have less reliance on governmental funding and more on organic networking. So again, we're building it from the ground up. Back to those families. I heard many of you mention and talk about the young mothers and talk about the mothers for the young adults, that is, and talk about where do they go. So we are also involving families as well in building our kind of the grassroots, the organic approach as we move forward. This will lead to competitive employment integration and look at other needs that our young adults might have as well. Thus, individuals with disabilities are seen as any other employee to be productive employees, creating a win-win for participants, schools, families, and for employers. So we're looking at this as a multi approach among many different avenues. Another key is to pave the way for young adults to possibly be able to go into pre-apprenticeship programs, possible apprenticeship programs, enclaves, internships, like we already have in Gibson County at Toyota, and perhaps college opportunities. So we're trying to make this a little bit more seamless, a little bit more of a transition, and understanding that you can overcome that fear factor. At this time, I would like to turn it over to my colleague and teammate who also works for SIRS, and this is Claire Meyer.
Yes, thank you, Tammy. I think we're going to proceed to the next slide, please, Jennifer. One more. Yes, so with this, we have goals that we're looking to include the current strategies. I know a couple of you had mentioned like the FEET program. And including these, we have the current strategies that exist at our school corporations that we are working with, Wirt County School Corporation and South Spencer County School Corporation, and as well as Ivy Tech. And we are looking at special education students or for students who need accommodations. And within our YAS team, we have been researching these strategies and possible existing projects and curriculums for the following. Like I mentioned, FEET, we have, that was developed by Indiana Institute on Disability and Community from Indiana University. We have the Tennessee Pathways from Vanderbilt University and the Charting the Life course domains. We also have a project called Project SIRS that Tammy mentioned earlier in our presentation. We would love to incorporate that because that has been very, very successful in our community and for our interns that have gone through that program. During Project SIRS, they have a pre, during, and post vocational fit assessment that they take. And it has been very encouraging for the interns, for the parents, for the teachers that have been coaching them through this whole process. So we would love to incorporate that. And then we hope to create, like many of you in many of the past presentations, a streamlined and replicable process so we can continue throughout the state. Again, this is for those 22 to 30-year-old participants. We hope to help them create a path that they will choose, and our paths are not one size fits all. They can stay in one path throughout the duration of the process, or they can kind of switch whatever they feel is best for them at that time. And this will start with the Charting the Life course resources and supports in a small cohort or pilot group for daily life and employment, to include a coaching / work exploration continuance, like I said, from Project SIRS and PREETS, which has existing proven research curriculum. And however, this is a step up to meet the age requirement and customizations, because Project SIRS is kind of the high school range, and this is again from 22 to 30, excuse me. We plan to have Charting the Life course curriculum in a customized way to include a resource hub that's readily available for anyone seeking information, either online or in person. We hope to have this hub including housing information, financial literacy, community resources, food bank information, places to volunteer, clothing possibilities, and above and beyond, we hope to have mental health resources, because that is in the limelight these days, but that's also very important. And lastly, we just really want to educate the parents and the families with a stipend model that's similar to the Tennessee Pathways model through, like I said, through Tennessee Pathways. And that's a framework that we will pursue. This family awareness model is implemented already, and we've seen it to be proven useful. If you want to go to the next slide, please, Jennifer. Maybe the next one, sorry about that. Perfect. So a key piece to the pilot is to research with DDRS, BEADS, VR, and FSSA, a referral pipeline. Again, like Tammy mentioned, many are on wait lists, they don't qualify, or they just simply give up because they see that there's nothing to help them, no one to help them, and just nowhere to go. So how do we find and get our young adults with immediate short-term disabilities or their solutions with further immediate problems? Next is the vision that we are providing a customized curriculum, a strong resource hub, and a way to educate the families. We will be able to engage young adults with disabilities to live their best life. We will do this by replicating and showing assessments and valid evaluation with SMART goals and assessments. Funding sources will evolve and be maintained throughout the duration of our progress or project. And then one more slide, please.
And I think at this time, we're ready for questions, but I do want to explain again, as Claire has also talked, we have had several committee meetings, several community collaborators. These are just some of our individuals that we have. And as we analyze our pilot and develop ends, we imagine services for young adults that are meant to be short-term employment and empowerment first, recognized across nonprofit, for-profit, businesses, industries, and providers of the DDRS that shows no boundaries. And that's a key right there, that shows no boundaries. With resources, community support through resources, networking, and employer buy-in, our young adults will be better prepared to navigate personal barriers. Back to that fear factor that's been discussed. A lot about the fear factor for personal barriers and navigate the workforce. Family support integration and community support integration are the impacts for our future leaders. I believe we're at our last slide here, and I did want to mention that for questions, you can contact myself. We've got the email here. I go by Tammy or Tamara Pate at SIRS.org. Cheryl Moulis is our Chief Executive Officer and President of SIRS. And Claire Meyer, she is our Community Outreach Coordinator and very, very much involved with our community. We have Gretchen Fleming, who has retired from the Warwick County School Corporation as a special education teacher, and she is now our main instructor for Project Search. And we also have the commitment of Amanda Vandewich, who is with Ivy Tech Community College, and they're going to help us with our curriculum development as we synthesize and put all of these pieces together. We're looking again at all these professionals coming together at the table, collaborating. Why should they? Again, we're supporting young adults who have one or perhaps multiple disabilities, who are on wait lists, don't know where to go. We're going to have to look at that funding source. We're going to have to create no boundaries and working together. So we look forward to that. But we're meeting, we're researching, we're gathering the curriculum materials to build our young adult solutions, our YAS initiatives. We also have a QR code. You can see that here. I'm not technically skilled, but Claire is. And our QR code is linked to sirs.org for more information and to stay up to date as we progress with this innovative pilot project. This is a I will say the YAS initiative is near and dear to my heart because as Director of Employment, I get to see many young adults and they just don't have a direction in terms of where to go, what to do. So I'm very excited and lots of passion that we all have in bringing all of these collaborations together. And Jennifer, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. And I'm very excited to work with like REACH and IPMG and some others and finding out more about what they're doing. So if there's any questions, we are open to any questions at this time.
Thank you, Tammy. I'm just going to take 1 minute to wrap this up and then we'll see if there are any questions. We just want to remind everybody that all these projects are supporting the DDAR's mission that all people are empowered to live, love, learn, work, play, and pursue their dreams. And we're hoping to support them to do exactly that. If you have questions that come up after this, or you're watching this recording and you weren't part of the live Q&A and you'd like more information, you can contact Beads Help at their email address on this slide, or Jess Carlin York is in charge of the innovative pilot projects at the state. So her contact information is here as well. I don't see anything lighting up in the chat and Q&A, but Alina, is there anything that's come in that I might have missed?
Nope, I have not seen any questions.
Okay, sometimes people like myself need to listen to the information, and then they think of their questions later. So all of the grantees have provided their information. Again, the HCBS Spend page or the pilot project page will also have their one-pagers and contact information, and you can always contact Beads or Jessica, or I'm jennifer.akers@fssa.in.gov if you want to reach out to me and we can make those connections. We're really excited about how these will empower individuals to really live their best life. So thank you so much to all of our presenters. Thank you to those of you who joined us, and I will let you go on with the rest of your day. Thanks again.